Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome.
Hello. Sorry.
It's quite all right. It's all right. We're getting this all together.
Hi,
This is
Tia.
a fun dance that we get to do, right?
Trying to make everything work. Yeah, that's for sure. And I'm not in my usual place, so as you can see, I've got a turtleneck on and a fireplace is going.
Okay. Are you warm?
Oh yeah, I'm warm, but it's cold where
Okay.
I'm at, but I'm warm.
So where are you at?
Minnesota right now.
That's right. You're visiting, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Let's see. I don't even think I'm sharing yet. Let's get this shared. Okay, we're getting everything together.
Okay.
I am so excited you guys are here. We are going to rock this so good. Let me give you a chance to everybody get in.
Yep.
Okay. Those of you who are on camera, I'm going to tell you, I really appreciate you being on camera. If you are sick, if you're miserable, if you don't want to be on camera, that's fine too. I want this to be good for you. Um, we had some technical challenges this last week, so that those of you who tried to register, some of you were getting errors. And the reason you were getting errors is because you had the link. You had already signed into the link, and so it was saying you were in twice. It's weird and bewildering. So what we're doing tonight is we're letting everybody in, and I'm going to ask, let me grab this from my other presentation.
Okay, I'm turning this down.
Hi, Jenny. So I'm going to give you this in the chat, and I'll do it again in a few minutes because I understand if people join after I do this, you can't see
You
it.
keep talking, I don't care. I'm on mute, so.
Okay, I dropped this in the chat. If you have not yet registered, I'm going to ask that you copy this and drop it into an email to the address at the top. The address at the top, let me share this with you. This address at the top, president@TampaBayIIBA.org. And this is the information that we need. And look, I still had that misspelled. I'm so embarrassed. And then you agree to this and that you understand I'm going to be sending you the invoice to this. If you tell me you're an IIBA member, if you can give me your member number, that keeps me from having to go look it up to verify you're an IIBA member. IIBA members get this 6-month class for $100. If you're not an IIBA member, I'm going to say it slower. If you're not an IIBA member, it's going to be $120 for the 6-month class. There are additional benefits to being an IIBA member. Your application fee for the CBAP is substantially, no, it's the same. The fee to take the CBAP is substantially reduced more than a membership. Having your IIBA membership also gives you the BABOK in PDF, which I suggest that you get it in both PDF and hard copy. For me, this works. If you can just do PDF, great, good for you. The PDF hard copy is, I think, $58 on Amazon. They ship it pretty fast. If you were not here last week and you have not seen this presentation before, raise your hand because there's a few things I want to be sure everyone hears. Okay, I see one. Okay, that's enough for me to tell you. Let me move this presentation off the way, and I'm going to just walk through this. I'm going to go through fast, and if you have any questions, reach out to me or stop me and ask questions. Kasi, you already registered. You don't need to send the email. This is just for people that did not get the registration successfully through. Okay, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Thea Soren. I helped write the BABOK 10 years ago. That doesn't mean I know everything, but I've been leading IIBA chapters for 15 years, and I have my CBAP certification. We do have lots of people saying that this study group is the reason that they were able to obtain their certification. This book that we have to study is 520 pages of goodness and luxury, but It's a lot to learn, and it's hard to learn it on your own. Having this weekly study group kind of keeps it coming. You don't have to try to keep doing it on your own. There are benefits to studying the BABOK if you aren't taking the test, but we're here to take the test. There are 3 different certifications. If you're not sure that you qualify for the CBAP certification, reach out to me on LinkedIn and we'll make some time to talk. We can talk about it because I want to be sure that you know you're on the right track. And if you qualify for the CCBA or the ECBA, this is still the right class for you, but it's a little bit easier test. Let's have the conversation if you're not sure. My job here is to draw you a map and take you to each spot one at a time. I told you that there was a difference in fees for the CBAP. If you're a non-member, it's $505. If you are a member, it's $350. It also gives you access to every chapter meeting worldwide. That is our meetings, not classes. It gives you access to 11,000 books in our Knowledge Center. 2,000 of those are audiobooks, all kinds of good stuff. This is our current schedule. Right now, we are going to go through chapters 1 and 2. Next week, we're going to talk about underlying competencies and 2 little pieces out of perspectives. And we're going to go through practice test questions there. As we move through the rest of this, if the class has advanced enough where we only need to spend 1 week on one of these knowledge areas, that's great. We'll move on. But this is my tentative schedule right now. It's an hour and a half each night. Let me just zoom through these. Y'all don't need to see this part. Does everyone have their BABOK? Is there anybody that doesn't have their BABOK? Okay, very good. I don't think you need anything else off of this. I'm going to go to practice test questions. So let me stop this in slideshow. That's what I want to do. And we are going to go to practice test questions made up by me. Watermark learning is what we typically use for the practice test questions, but they don't have anything for chapters 1 and 2. And so what I'm going to do is tonight we're going to walk through these. If you have your BABOK, especially if you haven't studied it deeply, I'm going to suggest you just open it. This is going to be in order of what's in your BABOK, and I'm going to show you that. Right here. I didn't show y'all this last week, so I'm going to just briefly show it to you. Your BABOK, this is my version. I was able to convert it from PDF to Word, so I'm able to make some notes in it. I'm sorry, let me go back and view 2 pages. Okay, this is what I want you to see. The BABOK is organized almost like a lab book. Chapter 1 has the different sections in it. Chapter 2 has different sections in it. So if I say 2.3, you know what part of the book I'm talking about. So it's easy to find things. Whenever we get into things like the knowledge areas, starting with chapter 3, 3.1 is broken down even further. So let me drop down into that area. Okay, here's chapter 4. So is this big enough for you to read? It's kind of small, isn't it? Okay, so here's the beginning of 3.3. Task 3 in chapter 4, it's 4.3. It's confirm elicitation results. Every single task in the knowledge areas is divided up into these sections. So 4.3.1 is purpose, 4.3.2 is description, then it goes into inputs. It shows you the graphic that shows you inputs and guidelines and outputs and everything. Then it goes into the elements, and the elements are broken down. If there's more than one element, it's going to be a 0.1, 0.2, etc. So this would be 4.3.4.1. So you can find this whenever we see these answers from Watermark. It's going to say the answer, and it's going to give you BABOK, and it's going to give you this section like this. So you can find it. Any questions? Does this make sense to you? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna institute something here. This is a feedback tool that you can use for yourself. It's called Fist of 5, and it basically is a way to give me instant feedback. It tells me either I'm confused or I really have it or whatever. So in this case, I've given you an idea. And if you really understand it, if you feel like I got it, give me a 5. That means I got it. Okay. If you aren't quite sure, you can give me a 3 or a 2 or a 1, or I don't have it at all. I do not understand what you're talking about. That tells me either go on or stop, but you got to be on camera to do this. I can't watch your faces and watch the chat at the same time. And somebody was in the waiting room and I was so embarrassed. But so as I give you things, is if you have questions, just hold up your fist or something. So I know I need to stop and give you a chance to ask. You're welcome to come off of mute and ask me questions as we walk along through this. As I said, Watermark Learning does not have questions for chapters 1 and 2. We are literally, let me go back to the beginning. I'm going to go to chapter. So chapter 1, we're going to jump. Oh, come on, chapter 1. Here we go. We are going to literally start with this sentence here with the first question. And the reason I'm doing this is I want you to get used to the multiple choice format. Everything we do in here is going to be multiple choice because your test is going to be multiple choice. So let me move this aside. Here is our first question. What is the Babok guide? And I'm going to read the 4 answers. We're going to talk about which answers we can eliminate. That's the first thing I want to know. Are there any answers we can eliminate? And then we're going to talk about which one is the best answer. For chapters 1 and 2, we're not going to talk about which task this is because it doesn't apply. So, question, what is the Babok guide? The Babok guide is a globally recognized standard for the practice of business analysis, describing business analysis knowledge areas, tasks, underlying competencies, techniques, and perspectives on how to approach business analysis. The Babok Guide is a manual for project management methodologies and practices. The Babok Guide is the business analysis body of knowledge issued by the International Institute of Business Analysis to provide standards for the basic practices for business analysis globally. Or the Babok Guide is a reference for developing software engineering standards. Which ones can we eliminate?
We can get rid of B and D.
Yes.
Why do we get rid of B and D? What makes them not possible, the right answers?
The PMBOK is for B, for project managers, and I don't know the book for software engineers, but I know it's not the
But it's
Babok.
not this one, right? Okay, so we've been able to eliminate 2, which means that even if we were guessing, we have a 50% chance of getting it right. But knowing your Babok, and you might have it open right in front of you, which one of these is the right answer according to the Babok?
A.
We like A. Very good. And let me undo here. And A is the correct answer. I'll be sending this this document, this Word document, and this to you so that you can go through, put your name in here and fill out the answers yourself. And then whenever I get them, I will be able to tell if you're really grasping this knowledge. But again, it's straight out of the Babok. Okay, question number 2. What is the primary purpose of the Babok Guide? The primary purpose of the Babok Guide is to define the profession of data analysis and provide a set of commonly accepted practices. The primary purpose of the Babok Guide is to outline project management techniques. The primary purpose of the Babok Guide is to define the profession of business analysis and provide a set of commonly accepted practices. Or the primary purpose of the Babok Guide is to establish software development standards. What can we get rid of?
A, B, and D.
I think that leaves C.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody agree? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 3. What statement best describes the scope of work for business analysts? The business analysts focus solely on financial analysis within an enterprise. Business analysts are restricted to managing IT projects. Business analysis is a broad profession in which a business analyst might perform work for many different types of initiatives across an enterprise, or business analysts exclusively develop marketing strategies. According to the Babok, what is the right answer?
I go
C.
with C.
C.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I said C. Roberta says C.
Yeah.
C, yeah.
C is the correct answer. Very good. Thank you so much. Learning the exact verbiage of the BABOK will come naturally to you as you study it. Don't get frustrated or impatient with yourself, but learning the voice of the BABOK is important. It's like you've joined a brand new company and they do things a little bit differently than the way your old company did it, and you have to learn their way. That's what we're learning today. Which statement best describes the approach of practitioners in the field of business analysis? Practitioners may employ different competencies, knowledge, skills, terminology, and attitudes that they use when performing business analysis tasks. Practitioners focus solely on financial analysis within an enterprise. Practitioners are restricted to managing IT projects, or practitioners exclusively develop marketing strategies.
C.
It is the correct
A.
answer.
We've noticed as we work through the practice test questions and the real test questions that sometimes the longest one is right. Doesn't mean it's consistent, but it's just nice to know. Let's see. China is dropping the answers in the chat. Okay, very good. I'm glad you're on the call. Okay, next one. Which statement best describes the purpose of the BABOK guide in business analysis? There's actually questions about things like this, so I want you to know it. The BABOK guide is a common framework for all perspectives, describing business analysis tasks that are performed to properly analyze or change and evaluate the necessity for a change. The BABOK guide focuses solely on financial analysis within an enterprise. The BABOK guide is restricted to managing IT projects, or the BABOK guide exclusively develops marketing strategies.
A.
A.
That is correct. Is anybody feeling challenged by this? Getting used to doing the to participating is new to some of y'all, but I want you to just know the harder you lean in, the more you're going to get out of this. Which statement best describes the purpose of the BABOK guide in business analysis? Focuses solely on financial analysis, restricted to managing IT projects, exclusively develops marketing strategies, or is a common framework for all perspectives describing business analysis tasks that are performed to properly analyze a change or evaluate a necessity of a change. Is that the same question?
It
That's the
looks
same
like the same
question.
question.
China
Yeah.
was just asking if that's the same question in the chat too.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, guys.
No,
I
don't
spent
apologize.
several
It's fine.
hours putting these together, and you get cross-eyed doing it. Okay,
It's fine because you know what? It keeps us sharp.
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
right.
Making
Thank
sure
you.
we're paying attention.
Yeah.
Yes.
I put it in there on purpose just to check, right? Okay, which of the following correctly lists the 6 knowledge areas of the BABOK? So I'll put this in because we're going to see questions like this, and you have to figure out a strategy for going through and looking at. It's like, so what's different? So this one has RAD, requirements analysis and design definition. This one has it, but it doesn't have the acronym with it. Let's see. So this one is with solution assessment. That's different than everything else?
Yeah, that one is incorrect.
Yeah, usually
Okay,
it's
we could eliminate that one.
Mhm.
Let's see. Business analysis planning and monitoring, business planning and monitoring. Which one of those is correct?
Business
Business
analysis,
planning
and monitoring.
is correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and this one is business analysis planning. So that would mean that this one is correct because the
Right.
other ones have wonky, pretend words in them. But we're going to see that with the watermark questions. I think I told y'all the watermark questions are going to be harder than the actual test questions, but it's important that they ask the questions the way that they do because we've got to learn the concepts so that we can apply them to the situations. So you need to be able to look through a list like this and figure out how to do this. Okay.
Yeah, question, please.
Yes,
The-
ma'am.
Could you just go back one to the question
Yeah.
before, please? The difference in the reason why the question A is correct is because question C does not have in the acronym RAD.
No, that's not the reason.
Okay.
The reason is this is not the correct name for the knowledge area. Let's see, that one is correct. This one is not correct. It's not requirements management. It's going to be requirements lifecycle management. So this one has problems and this one has problems. They're leaving words out. They're substituting words. Sometimes with some things you can substitute a synonym, but for titles you can't. These are titles. So we can't make any substitutions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. This
Right.
is very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, starting 1.2. What is business analysis? It kind of repeats. I think you're going to see some of this again a little bit later, but it's important that you know it according to the BABOK. So this is the foundation. These two chapters are the foundation that we're going to build all of our castle on. Which statement best describes the practice of business analysis? Business analysis is a practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. Business analysis is the practice of managing financial transactions within an enterprise. Business analysis is a practice of developing marketing strategies for the enterprise. Or business analysis is a practice of overseeing IT projects within an enterprise.
A is the
A.
correct answer.
A is
Okay.
correct. Incidentally, on these, I have the next sheet, and if you use navigation, you can navigate this way. Here is the question, and here's the answer for every single one. So if you get to where you just want to do questions and answers, you got it this way. How do y'all feel about this?
So
Is it
so good.
giving you the nuggets, the building blocks that you need?
Yep. I can see why you said read chapters 1 to 2, because I can see the importance of it, knowing those terms, getting accustomed to the language of the BABOK.
Yes, you got to learn to speak it. I think I've said this to y'all before, but I'm going to say it again. Secret Service agents are given a $100 bill and told to study it. They study it so much that if they see a counterfeit, they automatically know it's a counterfeit. They might not even know why it's a counterfeit, but it's like it doesn't match. You got to learn the BABOK so much that you know the voice of the BABOK. I think I read that one to you. Let's go to this one. Which statement best describes the scope of business analysis within enterprise? Business analysts focus solely on financial reporting, the practice of developing marketing strategies, perform a variety of initiatives within enterprise. Initiatives may be strategic, tactical, or operational, or is the practice of overseeing IT projects.
C.
You see, yep.
I've actually seen this as a question. What are the 3 types of initiatives a business analyst might be responsible for? So you got to know. Which statement best describes the scope of business analysis? Solely on financial reporting. Business analysis may be performed within the boundaries of a project or throughout an enterprise evolution and continuous improvement. Is the practice of developing marketing strategies, or is the practice of overseeing IT projects?
B.
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 I'm hearing A and B.
B is the
B.
correct
B.
answer.
B.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, which statement best describes the use of business analysis? Again, focuses solely on financial reporting, can be used to understand the current state, to define the future state, and to determine the activities required to move from current state to future state. Is the practice of developing marketing strategies, or is the practice of overseeing IT projects?
B.
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 Okay, y'all feel pretty comfortable with this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Instead of making you go through all of it, because I made, let's see, for chapter 1, there are 55 questions, and for chapter 2, there's another 45. Instead of walking you through all this, whenever it's literally, did you read chapters 1 and 2, and did you grab the most important stuff, I'm going to send this to you. and let you go through it on your own and send me back the answer sheets. So you're going to receive this, put your name here, put your answers down here, and don't worry about if you have the right don't worry about if you have the right answer. I mean, don't like compare it to the answer sheet. Just go through and do it. You can do it one of two ways. You can, I'm going to walk through the Babok and just check it out and write it out, or I'm going to leave the Babok alone and take it out of my own mind. I encourage you to do it one time with the Babok and one time without the Babok on a different sheet. That way you're testing yourself. You're testing your knowledge. Here's the deal. You can cheat. You can cheat and nobody's going to know. And I'm going to get it back and go, they've got all the right answers, but you're not going to have the information in your head. And whenever you go to sit at that desk to take your test, you do not want it, that idea that I wish I had really paid attention. I wish I'd really gotten that knowledge in my head. So what I'd like for you to do is have this back to me by Thursday morning, by next week, so that you have had time to go through it. Okay?
Okay.
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 So I bet you I've made another mistake in here. If you want to like make a note over here to the side to let me know I made a mistake, that's absolutely fine. I will take all of the corrections and we will get better together. Now we're going to talk about the chapter called Underlying Competencies. I have on our schedule that we're not going to do that for like another week, but I really feel like y'all are sharp. You're getting this. We can spend more time on chapters 1 and 2 if we need to, but I'm going to push it a little bit and see if we can make it. Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about underlying competencies. I want to go here. We're going to go to here. And we're going to go back to the index. So, if you have your Babok, I do encourage you to go ahead and open up the chapter for underlying competencies. It's going to be chapter 9. And I'm going to start here in the index. Chapter 9 is divided up into just 6 sections, but each section has several, it's a container for concepts that are very similar. And I want you to know that you look at this and you go, I know all this. I know active listening. I'm a good BA. I do all this. The reason I want you to learn it is because there are some questions in the CBAP exam that are going to ask you questions about this. And it's things that if you don't read what the Babok says about it, it's like, I thought I knew what I was talking about. So we're going to look at underlying competencies tonight. So skipping to chapter 9. I'm in 15 there. So in analytical thinking and problem solving. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go here. I've got something I want to show you and give you. Let me grab that real quick. Look over chapter 9 while I grab this, please.
Chapter 9.
Chapter 9, yes. Here we go. This is what I want to show you. Those of you who asked me for it, I will give you access to this file on our Google Drive. This file I have been creating. I've been working on it for 2 years, maybe. And it has a lot of stuff in it, but for tonight, we're going to start with this. The analytical thinking and problem solving, it has in it creative thinking, decision-making, learning, problem solving, systems thinking, conceptual thinking. It has in it the basic definitions for each. It has the strengths and weaknesses. This is like the Cliff Notes version. This is where I would suggest you start whenever you're studying this, because if you don't, you're going to be reading a whole lot of stuff and not see how it groups together. This shows you how it groups together. The next section, behavioral characteristics, ethics, personal accountability, trustworthiness, organization and time management, adaptability. We're going to go through some practice test questions in a few minutes, and you'll see why I want you to actually read this. It's not a whole lot of the test, but there are things in the different knowledge areas that refer back to this. And so I want you to have this ready to go, okay? The next section, business knowledge, includes business acumen, industry knowledge, organization knowledge, and solution knowledge. It explains what it means by these. Whenever I read these originally, it's like, I know what that means. It kind of uses some of these a little bit differently than the way you might be used to using it. You need to understand what it's asking whenever it's asking these things. Communication skills, its fourth section, has verbal communication, nonverbal communication, written communication, and listening. Interaction skills, facilitation, leadership and influencing, teamwork, negotiation and conflict resolution, tools, and then the tools and technology has office productivity tools and technology, business analysis tools and technology. Does anyone have any questions about what's in underlying competencies from this viewpoint?
No.
Okay. I'm going to call a 5-minute break. I have been teaching for 2 hours now, and I need a break for 5 minutes. So y'all go ahead and start reading underlying competencies. You know, read that intro section, and let's meet back here at 7:40. Let's do I'm sorry, it's 7:40 Central Time, 6:40 Eastern. No, I'm sorry, 8:40 Eastern Time. Whichever time zone you're in, can you convert? Is anybody confused? We'll meet here in a little over 5 minutes. How's that? And I'll be right back.
Hey, Robin, it got chilly here again as soon as you left.
Oh, it did. I'm sitting here with the fireplace on, and
That's cozy, though. That's awesome.
yeah, it's a little bit, except for I don't really have a desk. And I printed out, I got most of the book, but so chapter 9 I don't have. So I'm just gonna listen.
That's
So,
okay. You can listen. You can listen.
yeah, because I'm like,
So-
I really tried to plan it, so I had up to 5 chapters, and yeah, I'm like, okay,
I'm sorry. Did you
that's
not
okay.
did you not have the schedule?
No, I didn't have the schedule when I left.
Okay. Okay. Not a problem. It will not kill you not to have it right now. Okay.
Okay,
We'll get it done. Are you an IIBA member?
yes.
Okay. Let's take a sidebar then. Let's do this. We're going to use this. Let's go to IIBA. Do I have too many things open? Yes, I do. Thank you so much. Okay, IIBA, if you
Uh-huh.
log in
Yep.
and you go into, let's see, it's going to be in Knowledge Center. There's my Knowledge Hub right there,
Yep.
Knowledge Hub. That doesn't seem right. Let me
Knowledge
think.
Hub. And I know the book is there and I can bring it up.
Okay,
And I've got it in there saved
okay.
because that's how I got some of them, the chapters already. So
But you
I
only
don't-
have one screen right now, right?
right, I only have one screen, and the other part is I'm just kind of looking on it on my phone for this chapter, so it's just not
Okay.
as easy to do, but that's okay. I mean, I'll listen in, and it'll be good because it'll be a review when I get back. So that'll
Okay.
be good.
Well, then let's go back to. I'll go to watermark over here. Okay. Several of you have asked me about this watermark. This is the test bank that I use.
Okay.
And there is a subscription you can get, and I'm checking to see if I can get you a discount on that. I don't know that I can yet. The gentleman who can tell me is on vacation until the end of this week. So as soon as he gets back, I'll find out if I can get you the discount. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually do the test questions for underlying competencies because honestly, I want you to see why you need to read it. It's like, of course I know what listening is. Well, the Babok says certain things about that. It says certain things about the others, and I want you to understand. So we're going to do a drill. We're going to do underlying competencies. This is the only thing we're working on. Going to begin a new exam. This is the way I'm going to go through all the knowledge areas, including underlying competencies. I'm going to read the question. I'm going to read the answers. I'm going to ask you which ones we can eliminate. And then we're going to talk about which one is the right answer according to the Babok. And some of y'all are going to speak up and say, you missed that word, or this has to be the right answer because of something. And somebody else here is going to learn. But it's because y'all have the conversation that you learn. Okay? So, you overheard a work colleague say something you believe to be unethical and clearly not in the best interest of the customer. You said nothing at the time. However, after thinking about it, you decide to take action. Which underlying competency would be most effective? Written communication. You send her an email detailing your concerns. Verbal communication. You call her and express your concern. Written communication. You send an email detailing your concern to the project manager and copy her boss. Verbal communication. You express your concern to the project manager. Which one can we eliminate?
A,
Well,
C, and D.
Yeah, C, eliminate C.
We hate those, don't we?
Yes.
Would you ever tell somebody your concerns by email if you could talk to them in person or verbally?
No.
Right.
Yeah, it would be verbal. I mean, this is what we would do in real life, right? Well,
Right.
let's see what the Babok says. Babok says we are correct. Verbal communication allows the sender of the communication to ensure information presented is being understood by the receiver because we can hear their feedback. Hopefully, we can see them too. And what I like about it is it's telling you exactly where in the Babok that you can go to look up this information. So if you're confused, if you don't grasp it, if you disagree with it, it gives you the exact location as I was showing you earlier. Does this make sense? Give me a fist of
Yes.
5 if you understand. We're good?
Yes.
We're good.
Okay, thank you very much. If I ever say give me a fist of 5 and somebody doesn't understand, please speak up verbally because sometimes I can't see you all, okay?
Okay.
Okay, next one. What is a measure of the effectiveness of the BA's decision-making abilities? In every one of the elements that are within the underlying competencies, it's going to tell you how to measure if you're doing it well. And they call those effectiveness measures. Stakeholders include the BA in their decision-making process. Confidence of the participants in the selected solution. Stakeholders understand the decision-making process and the rationale behind the decision, or decisions are made by considering the interest of every stakeholder.
C.
C.
C is correct.
And
C.
D.
I heard C's, I heard D's, so why do we think it's C?
Because then you're explaining not only the decision process, but also the rationale behind it. People need to understand what, sometimes in cases, why you're doing something, what makes sense.
Okay. And what makes us think it might be D?
Considering the interest of every stakeholder can work, but what if the interest is subjective? I don't know, maybe I guess we refer to the objectives to keep it more objective focused.
Okay. Did I have any other votes for anything else, A or B?
I like A because it shows trust, but I don't know that that's the right answer. Just the personal feeling, I would like it if they include me in decision making. Trust God.
That would be good. I would do that.
Thanks, Sandra.
Okay, I think I had heard more votes for C, so let's check C. Okay, let's check A. Tricky because this sounds logical. This answer, though, is a measure of trustworthiness, not of decision-making abilities. And let's check B.
Option yet.
This
So.
is a measure of ethics. So these are effectiveness measures, but not measures of this one thing.
Of
So this is
decision
what we
making.
chose. But I do like it that it tells us where to go to look at it to get more information.
Right.
Now I'm going to tell you, Watermark is not perfect. Occasionally they come up with something and we're all going to look at it and go, that's not right, or that doesn't even make sense. It's okay for us to do that. It means we're all thinking and we're communicating with each other. It is essential that stakeholders actively collaborate in the business analysis process so as to not negatively impact the effort. What is the BA's role in ensuring positive collaboration with stakeholders? So this is what we're really asking about. It doesn't matter what else it said. It doesn't matter if it said you're a new BA to the project. It doesn't matter if, Robert came to scold you. It's going to give you other stuff because that's what's really, the test is really like. It's going to give you other stuff. You got to figure out what it is it's asking you. The answer is possibilities. Listen to stakeholders and incorporate their feedback. Escalate concerns about negative stakeholders to the project manager to minimize their effect on the product being produced. Establish strong, positive, and trust-based relationships with the stakeholders involved in the business analysis tasks, or set ground rules early in the relationship to provide a safe environment for collaboration. Can we eliminate any of these? They all kind of seem reasonable, don't they?
A
Right.
and B.
Yes,
Yeah.
You
But
think
I
we-
would go with,
we're keeping C.
yeah, I would
Yeah,
go
I
with
like C
C
the
as the
most.
answer
Yeah.
as well.
So we
C.
think C is probably the right answer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, why do we like it?
This is gonna sound
A
so
lot of C
stupid,
have
but
a effective.
it literally says ensuring positive collaboration, so does the answer.
And,
But
and
it's saying you're establishing a strong positive relationship and trust. So
Right.
it's everything you want.
Right.
yeah,
And
I
this
hope.
is talking about ensuring positive collaboration. So you're kind of getting some mimicry here. Let's check this one. By developing positive relationships, detrimental effects on business analysis tasks can be modified. Good job. Let's see what this one said. Ground rules are not one of the elements of successful meeting facilitation, are one of the elements of successful meeting facilitation, not relationships. So this isn't another part of the underlying competencies that you would need to understand. Let's look at this one that we all agreed could not be the right answer. This question is asking why the BA's role is in ensuring positive collaboration. Escalation is after the fact. So it explains why it's not. As I said, some of these are really good explanations of why it's right or wrong, and some of these, they're not so great. But we're together and we're going to figure it out. Communication is the key to becoming an effective business analyst. There are various core competencies that define the effective communicator. Which of the following competencies are included in the communication category of the BABOK? So we're looking at that communication, one of the 5 that's communication. Is it nonverbal, verbal, and listening? Listening, written, and interaction? Written, verbal, interaction, or verbal, interaction, and listening? I apologize. This is one of the subs of one of the 5. So what do you think it's breaking it down into?
is question,
A.
is
A?
question, Tia, is interaction another way of saying nonverbal?
No.
Yeah, that's what I was
A.
wondering.
Well, if it is another way of saying nonverbal, that would mean that I don't think it is. And I'm pretty sure that nonverbal is what it's asking for.
Yeah,
Right.
so go with A.
Yeah, I would go with
Let's
A.
test A. Getting something wrong just means that we found a gap in our own knowledge that it's something for us to fill. So it's bringing the communication down to nonverbal, verbal, and listening. Now I'm going to say something about this. We wrote the BABOK 10 years ago. It was before COVID. It was before a lot of people went remote. And so it's talking to you as though you're still going to the office every day. You're still seeing full body language. So whenever you're reading it, remember that, because I wrote that chapter. And at that time, it made sense, right? You know, if somebody's half turned away from you or something like that, it's telling you something. You can't see that whenever we're on screens. So it's thinking that direction.
That's a good point because I work remotely and that's what I was thinking about. Is interactions, am I reading an interactive experience from this person in nonverbal, verbal listening sense? So that's why I asked the question. But okay, that makes
Right.
sense.
Okay. All right. Very good. Let's do one more. Which of the
Yeah,
Oh, yes, go ahead.
I'm just wondering why it's, can you go back to the previous question? Is it possible to go back? I'm wondering why it's not including written communication, because I feel like that's an important way of communicating.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
You know, that's a good point. And let's just look at the BABOK. So we are right here. No, I'm sorry, that's the wrong. I've got too many BABOKs open here. We are in Word, and I'm looking at version 3. And we are going to look at communication skills, page 203. Okay, I'm at the right place. Maybe I'm not. Let me keep going. Okay. let's do it this way. There are too many results. It's so
It's
helpful.
on page 204, I believe.
I thought it was. I thought it was. So let's go.
Yeah, page 204, it says communication skills core competencies include verbal communication, non-verbal communication, written communication, and listening.
Okay, so written is in there.
It
Thank
is.
goodness. I'm having trouble finding it, guys. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, page 204, right at the
Oh,
top.
here we are. Well, my pages are messed up because I converted it to Word. So there's my problem.
Okay.
So verbal communication, written communication, nonverbal communication, they're all separate sections. And then listening. So those are all separate sections. So you're right, written is important and it is a form of communication that should be considered, but I put it all by itself because the way somebody writes is very different in learning from them than having a conversation with them. You have to consider very different things. So written is in here. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Good
So
point. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, next one. Which of the following underlying competencies will help you understand how people, processes, and technologies within the organization interact? This is critical. Is it organization knowledge, business acumen, contextual thinking, or systems thinking?
I say I'm
A.
choosing.
Sorry, say that again.
Someone said A and I'm choosing D, as in David. No idea.
Okay. Why do you like D better?
Systems thinking. It talks about what is it? Following underlying comes to help understand how people, process, and technology within an organization interact. And I'm thinking from a systems perspective, it shows all of these, how the process affects the system, the people, and all of these different things. So I'm thinking systems.
Okay. That's very good reasoning. Anybody else? Either pro or con, D.
Roberta's the one that's gonna set me up to second guess
D.
myself on these questions.
Yeah.
I promise you, as you read it, you'll go, oh, I know the right answer. You'll get it. Okay, so let's test D. And D is correct. Organization knowledge provides an understanding of the management structure and business architecture of the enterprise. That's what it's talking about. Business acumen refers to the understanding for fundamental business principles and best practices. Contextual thinking, this is a made-up answer. And then systems thinking is the right answer. Okay, any questions?
No.
So I'm going to give you the homework of going through and answering the questions in the on the Excel from the Word document that's going to have all the questions. It has the answers too. Just skip them. Skip the answers for now. And then whenever we come back together on next Thursday, I'm going to focus on maybe the 5 that most people got wrong, and we'll go through those. That way we can just everybody hear the same thing, and we'll find out what our critical areas are. I'm going to also ask you to go ahead and read underlying competencies. That's chapter 9. Underlying competencies is an easy read. It's one of the easiest in the book because you're familiar with most of the things, and then you're going to run across the one sentence that's like, oh, they're saying that a little differently than I expected. Make a note of those things, highlight them, or do whatever you need to, because those are the ones that are unique to the BABOK, different from the way you think. Now I'm going to switch over to chapter 11. Chapter 11 is perspectives. And I was going to originally spend a whole week on this, but then I realized that according to the Watermark book, it starts chapter 11 with, you don't need to read this for the CBAP. And I'm like, why are we worried about it? There are 2 things you need to know out of chapter 11. Chapter 11 is interesting. And if you have brain cells and you have bandwidth, go ahead and read it. It's got some cool stuff in it. But these are the 2 things you need to know out of it. When we were writing the BABOK, the idea of Agile was just bursting into corporate America. We did not know if the word Agile was going to be copyrighted. So they avoided using it. I think it's used maybe 3 times. I don't know, just a few times. Usually they use the term adaptive or iterative to talk about Agile. Agile in the BABOK means the same thing it does to you, but they use the words adaptive or iterative. So if you're working on creating a website, you're going to do it adaptive, okay? Adaptive just means I'm doing it a little bit, then I'm checking it with people and then making course corrections, and then doing a little bit more and checking it with people and making course corrections. It's really good to get to the end and everybody be on the same page, and you keep everybody involved all the way along. The other thing that you could do is what we call waterfall. You may know waterfall from, your current job or from a past job. Waterfall means you figure out all the requirements up front, then you do all the development, and then you do all the testing, and then you roll it out. The drawback to waterfall traditionally has been if it's something that's going to last, say, more than 2 weeks, your needs may change. And getting those changed means you have change requests and things like that, and it's a pain. However, there are some times that the BABOK says it's good to do waterfall. Waterfall in the BABOK is sometimes called predictive. So predictive or adaptive are the 2 options you have. The reason that the BABOK says it's good to do waterfall or predictive is if you have something that's high risk. I'll give you an example. A company that is getting ready to build a gas refinery plant. They cannot do adaptive because they can't say, oh, we're going to move this over 6 inches. That's huge. You can't do little adaptive things as you're doing these high risk things. So for that type of project, you're probably going to do waterfall or predictive. so that you know what you got to do all the way through before you even get started. Things that have high regulation, things that have high risk are probably going to be predictive, and you're going to do that. Now, there are 4 different things that they call perspectives in that chapter. I'm not even going to go into them because you don't need to know them. They are interesting to read, but the perspective of doing things in a waterfall manner, you approach your project differently. Your deliverables are going to be different. Your regulations are probably going to be different, but because of the type of project it is. If you're approaching it in an agile manner, again, you approach it differently. Your deliverables are going to be different. The way you think about it's going to be different. The way you work with your team is different. So those are the 2 perspectives I want you to know. And now you know everything you need to know for the test out of chapter 11. You're welcome. Okay, so I've given you some homework. I want to be sure everyone has been able to register successfully. Did anyone have any problems registering? Okay. Let me see. Did I do it at the very top? I did. You got the president's email there. If you did not receive a confirmation of registration, we might come back to you and say something happened. We just got to be sure that, you know, the money got transferred properly. If you registered and you're an IIBA member, but you were charged $120 instead of $100, I want to make it right. So we need to address that, but I need you to tell me I'm an IIBA member and this was broken. Again, president's email. Those of you who do not have your watermark book yet, that we're sending those out. As I told you, the watermark guy is on vacation. I'll be turning in that list this weekend so that he has it when he comes to work on Monday. I want to be sure I've got all of your information. So registering is important. Next week on Thursday morning, I'm going to be sending an email to everyone who's registered with a new link for this meeting so that you can join the meeting. Just look for the link. I'm going to put join the CBAP class at this link on for the subject so you can find it easily, and it will be the email that you get. Yes, Robin.
So I did get the registration correct the first time, but now I just got an email today saying they're billing me the 120, even though I was already registered.
Okay, do me a favor and send
Okay.
me your confirmation
Okay.
to the president's email, and I will investigate. And if I need to, I will contact you. I
That was
prefer to
kind of weird.
contact. Well, here's the deal. We have 3 different applications that are supposed to talk to each other, and they're
Mhm.
having an argument, and we're caught in the middle. And we think we've got it straightened out, but then something like this happens, and it's like, okay, I feel like I'm at a family reunion, and I need to create rooms for people. It's okay. We will figure it out.
Okay.
This is my goal. My goal is for you to be able to join next week without having any glitches. If we are not connected on LinkedIn, if y'all don't mind linking to me on LinkedIn, I use I'm on LinkedIn literally 6 to 8 times a day because I put all the jobs in the job group and I respond to my posts. So if you want to reach me quickly, that's the fastest way to reach me. For official business for our chapter, you can use the president's email to, you know, send me a document or something. But if you just need to ask me a question, go ahead and use LinkedIn, and I can set up time to talk to you. I jump on the call with people sitting on my couch on a regular basis. It's like, hey, let's talk. Do you have time to talk right now? Because having a conversation is much more effective than trying to send things by email or through LinkedIn and hoping that I said the right words so you understand what I mean and I can't see your response. Stephen, I know that you had asked if we could send it to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Again, I don't know that until I get to talk to Chris at Watermark. But I have that as a thing for me to follow up on for you.
Okay, no problem. Is the ebook like a PDF or?
There is a PDF that we can give you if we can't give you the physical version. Let me give y'all a little bit. I don't remember if I told you this. I remember telling y'all that splitting your books up by spiral makes it a whole lot easier. And I told you to put the techniques and the glossary in one, so you can use it as a reference off to the side. But this is the reason I like the watermark book. One of the reasons. Can you see the, where is it at? See the difference in those two? The skinny one is the knowledge areas from the Babok. The thick one is the knowledge areas from Watermark. I was reading the Babok chapter 7. There's this one there's one task about views and viewpoints. I've taught this course a whole bunch, guys, and I was reading it so I could learn. I felt dumb. It's like I could not wrap my head around views and viewpoints. What was it trying to tell me? I opened up this book and I got it. It's like, oh, it was so easy. And then I went back to the Babok and it was like, y'all made it so hard. It's not always like that. But for the knowledge areas, I really like the Watermark book. For techniques, you've got to use the Babok because Watermark just gives you like the cliff notes. It doesn't give you all the details, and you need some of those details whenever you're answering the questions. So I like both of them. I do like to have them split up so that I can lay my techniques over here and my knowledge area here and be looking back and forth. Speaking of techniques, let's go back to this spreadsheet. I told you I was going to give you access to this. Let me explain to you what this is. This is all of the knowledge areas by task. I have everything in here except the description, and I have the elements in short form, so I can just go through and, yeah, I know what that means. Yeah, I know what that means. I've got the guidelines and tools, and I made them different fonts and different colors so I could easily see where they were in different places. I've got the techniques. In each task are many techniques, and you're going to see techniques repeated. We've got 50 techniques to learn. I want you to pay attention to these that are in blue. I think I'm missing one here. Let me go to... I don't have it on the spreadsheet. I will get it on the spreadsheet. So here is Business Analysis, Planning, and Monitoring, Knowledge Area 1. And it shows where, here's all 50 techniques, and it shows where these 5 techniques use brainstorming. Yes, these 5 tasks use this technique of brainstorming. This task uses business cases. So what I did is I went through and I said, for brainstorming, looking all the way across all the knowledge areas, which one of these tasks does it make sense most for you to learn that technique? So I made it green, and I've got a list of this. I'll put it in here for you on another tab. But what it's going to do is whenever you actually, when we're studying that one task, it's going to give you a list of 5 or 4. I think some of them, there's 3 of them that have a lot. I think 7 techniques that go along with it. But if you envision using that technique, using brainstorming while you plan your business analysis approach, and you think about using brainstorming in some of these different elements, it's going to allow you to really grasp what this is talking about. And it's going to keep it in your mind a lot more deeply than if you just look at this as a concept. And then you look at interviews and you look at process modeling and you look at workshops. It's going to keep it in your mind, and you look at what the technique is in the back. And that way, whenever we get through all of this, you've gone through all 50 techniques. And so you're grasping it all at once. Does that make sense? Okay. Also in this, let me scroll over here to the right. Here are the stakeholders that are suggested for this task. Here is the output. So you've got your input, how you process it, the things you do, who's involved, what techniques, and then you've got your output. You need to understand your output. And then further over to the right, here are the BACCM, you know, those concepts, the star thing that you saw. Here is how this applies to this first knowledge area. I put it here at the first task because if I put it up at the knowledge area, it's going to take up a lot of space. But here it is for the whole knowledge area. And then going further over, here are the roles of each of the stakeholders for this task. because stakeholders sometimes have very specific roles for a task. They're very, for instance, there are some times that you're going to have a question that says, you need to identify your internal stakeholders. Which stakeholder do you go to? You would have to go to end users. But if you don't know this, that's the end user's job, you're going to get confused. So you've got your task all the way across each one. I think so. That's all the stakeholders. Okay. Then list one is your knowledge areas with all the tasks underneath them. It's good to just print that out and get it familiar with in your head. Underlying competencies. Quiz yourself is something I put together so that you can, so sorry, so that you can, let me unfilter it. Apparently I've got a link in there that I didn't know about. Here we go. So I have this by your task, purpose, inputs, guidelines, and tools and outputs. And you can filter it, say, I just want to talk about inputs. And then say, what is this an input of? And it gives you 4 tasks. Over here, I keep it turned black. And then you can check yourself. You know, I think it's this one. I think it's this one. I think it's this one. And so this has the right answer over here. Then stakeholders, if you want to say the sponsor is a stakeholder in which task, it gives it to you in this view. Your brain, not every one of you are going to value this, but somebody in this group might. And if this is the way your brain works, it's great. Core concepts, the same view that you saw earlier that I had it divided with all the tasks. This is just by knowledge area. So knowledge area 1, change, need, solution, stakeholder value, context, and it explains how this knowledge area impacts each one of these things. If your brain needs this, it's here. Then the techniques. What is the technique used for in each of these? This is a whole lot of information. But if you want access to it, I can give you access to it. I encourage you to take it and make a copy and save it to your local. That way you can make your own changes and your own updates. If you find an error in this, please tell me. I want to make this the best it can be. But, you know, I sometimes get cross-eyed and I make mistakes too. But I tried to make it something that would be useful for everyone. Does anyone have any questions about it?
No, this is pretty good.
Okay. I use this a whole lot whenever I was teaching. You know, people would say, that technique isn't even in that. And so I could easily go to it and go, you know, that technique is in there, you know. So we could have the conversation while we're answering the questions. It helped me to learn it. And then whenever I started learning it for myself so that I could take the test myself, I used it even more. So if you want access, I'll give you access to it, but do make a copy for yourself so you can make your, you know, if you want to highlight something or whatever. I'll give you access tomorrow. I want to give you one more sheet that's it that I don't have in there yet. Okay, so you're going to do chapters 1 and 2, do the questions. You're going to read through underlying competencies, and we're going to do some more test questions next week. If you find any questions and, you know, if you read something and go, that doesn't make sense, or I don't understand what it's saying here, please write those down. And when you write them down, also give me this reference here so that you can say, hey, regarding 9.4.2.2, I don't understand this sentence. And that way we know where it is in context and you don't have to write it all down. Just write down what your question is. We'll start the class with that next week. I gave you the 2 perspectives that you need out of chapter 11, so you don't have to read all of chapter 11 if you don't want to. Did anyone go through the glossary yet? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. The glossary is good just to make you go, oh, that's not the way I was thinking that word meant. It's just the trigger, you know? So I don't want you to memorize the glossary. I don't want you to think you're going to be quizzed over the glossary. Just go through it and be sure that everything lines up with your way of thinking, and if it doesn't, pay attention to those things. Okay? All right. So, whenever you send me your test questions back for chapters 1 and 2, do me a favor and put CBAP, CBAP answers 1-2 in the subject line. That way I can find them easily. I get a lot of other mail in that email, and I want to be able to find yours. If I have any questions about registration, I've got to get it cleared up this week. Is there anybody that does not want me to contact them by LinkedIn and they would prefer me to contact them through email? Is LinkedIn good for everybody?
I I guess I would prefer email
Okay, Robin.
over LinkedIn. Yeah.
I never ever check LinkedIn, but I did want to confirm with you that the first time I logged into LinkedIn was last week to send you my address, and I just wanted to make sure you got it. Not the first time ever, but the first time in like a year.
Yes, I responded to you. Okay, so you
Yeah,
prefer.
I didn't get that message because I don't log into LinkedIn.
Okay, okay. Is everyone comfortable with LinkedIn, or is it not something that you find valuable?
Roberta is fine with LinkedIn.
I'm fine with LinkedIn. I just like Sandra, I don't always go in there and
Okay.
check my stuff. So
Okay, Robin and Sandra, I'll keep you on email.
okay.
I was gonna say, Robin, I might visit you so you can show me how to use it because I'm like very new on LinkedIn. I have no idea how any of it works.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been on LinkedIn for a long time. I just don't.
I
Yeah.
couldn't even figure out how to do a message or whatever. It's like pay for premium, and I was like, no.
Oh,
So.
yeah, no.
You don't have to pay for premium to message.
No, you don't.
Just in case y'all didn't see this, let me pop this over here. I apologize. I had it up, but I've got too many things open. In case you need it, I don't know that any of you do. You might know somebody else who needs it. This is a group I created, and I've got 15,000 contacts, so I see things that you might not see. I see posts that you might not see. Now, what is up here in jobs, everybody sees the same thing, I think. But if I see a post that says there's a job opening, I do hiring business analyst searches every day, and I drop them in here so that you have access to it. If you want to do the same thing, if you find something by email or through LinkedIn, you're welcome to drop it in here as well. Right now we've got 313 members that are in here. And I'm not really doing this to get members at all. There's no benefit to me for this. What I'm trying to do is get exposure to these jobs. And I try to keep, this is all supposed to be United States jobs. Sometimes I make a mistake and do something, that's somewhere else. But you are welcome to go through here and make contact with some of these people. I don't know all of these people. Some of these people are second connections to me, and the only reason I see them is because somebody I know knows them or something. But if it will help you, great. If you're looking for something specific, or if you know someone who's looking for something specific, either refer them to here or have them talk to me. I had a company call me today and say, we need 8 mobile developers and we need them now. We want full time. And I'm like, I only know 2 mobile developers offhand, so I'm going to have to go through my network. But I can connect people, which is pretty darn exciting. But this is the tool I use to post jobs. If y'all, they're up there, but y'all don't see the post. So this is out there for you. You're welcome to join it. You're welcome to share it if you know somebody that might benefit. Okay, I'd like to get y'all tell me how you feel about studying for the CBAP right now. I've given you lots of information, but I think I'm giving it to you in bite-sized nuggets. Are you feeling good about this?
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Yeah,
Okay, I
so
see
far
some
so good.
5s.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, good. Now, this is a long-term course. We're going to be at this for 6 months. You
Mhm.
need to be studying on your own as well as studying here. So that's why I'm giving you homework. One of the criteria for you to be able to get education credit, is that we can prove that you're learning. So that's why I'm having you send me stuff back. It's not going to always be that way. But for now, we're going to try this so that we can get you used to doing the multiple choice format. I told you that whenever we start the knowledge areas, we're going to do multiple choice format a little bit differently, and I'm going to show you why. Let's look at chapter 6. What are we in here? Yeah, 6.4. Define change strategy. If y'all were in the previous class where Aaron was talking about change strategy, this is when you're planning how you're going to move from current state to future state. That's your change strategy. You can see that there's a lot of stuff here. You know, define change strategy. You got outputs. You got your change strategy, which feeds into all these. You got your solution scope that feeds into all these. When we are actually answering a question, we're going to say, what knowledge area is this if we're doing multiple knowledge areas? And then we're going to say, which task is it? Because it's going to narrow it down from all 4 of these in this knowledge area to just one. And then we'll be able to say it's an input. So if we know what task it is, look, this only has 4 inputs, and guarantee it's just one of these that's on the as the multiple choice question answer. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to say which ones can we eliminate? What's the knowledge area? Which task is it? And having that conversation really helps you focus down into exactly what the answer could be. Okay? So we're going to practice that as we start knowledge areas. We're going to get through chapters 1 and 2 and underlying competencies. Then we're going to start chapter 3. Chapter 3 is where we're going to start this process. Any questions?
Where will tonight's recording be? Will it be on the same YouTube channel?
It is going to be on the same YouTube channel. Let me open that up and I'll show you. So they made a special group for us. That's not the right one. Let me go back. It's our CBAP. Here it is. 2025 CBAP CCBA's ECBA BABOK study group. Let me drop this in the chat.
Thank you. That'd be great.
There you go. So we have the recording of last week right here, and we'll have today's recording next. This has 29 views, which means at least somebody's opened it. Some people have opened it at least 29 times, which is pretty exciting. I want to be sure y'all know CBAP is the premier certification worldwide for business analysis. It's the one that's most recognized. You're going to see CBAP in job postings. They want somebody with CBAP certification. And it doesn't mean people without CBAP certification can't get the job. However, let me tell you about what my boss said the other day. My boss has been running a business analysis center of excellence that's 12 years old. She organized it. We have 80 business analysts. She is phenomenal. She's a great leader. She says, we are so needing business analysts right now that I need to hire contractors. And whenever I go through their resumes, I pull out the ones that say CBAP and I leave the rest alone and I go through these first. That's how much she values the CBAP. Now, not everybody does. Some people don't even know who the IIBA is. They don't know what business analysts are or anything else. But people that know, they know, and they value CBAP. So having the letters after your name is nice. Having the knowledge in your head, knowing that you can talk to anybody else that has a CBAP, that they will probably understand your language. You can say, I'm going to make a swim lane diagram. I need to have a workshop. They know exactly what you're talking about. It's very valuable that way. And honestly, I've seen some of y'all participate in Tampa Bay Study Group for a long time. I'm so excited that you're here right now, that you're making this and that you're on this journey with us. And those of you who are new, I am tickled pink that you're here and that we're going to do this together. The conversations that we have truly are the most value, because as we talk through these questions and we say, what makes this the right answer? Or why do you think that's the wrong answer? You bring forth your logical understanding. you may not be right, but other people will be able to evaluate. Do I agree with that? Or are they saying something I haven't thought of? Are they seeing it from a different perspective? It builds us all up. It makes us grow. Okay? And then if we find out that we all agreed on the wrong answer, we get a little bit of humility there, but then we learn. So, and that's okay. Figuring out where our gaps are part of the journey here. My goal is to get you into that week, 2 weeks right before you take your test, and you're kind of going, you know what? I don't know everything and I'm not making 100%, but I'm making a good enough score in all the knowledge areas, and I've got so much knowledge and I'm comfortable with what I know. I think I can do this. Okay? That's where I want to get you to. And I've been consistent in getting people there many times before. So I have no doubt that I can get each one of you there. Now, I'm going to tell you that I hear somebody in this group saying, oh, she doesn't mean me. I'm not the one she's talking about. I don't know if I can do that. I'm going to tell you, I've heard it before. You can do this. There are, what is it, 20,000 CBAPs? I don't know. Dozens of thousands in the world. I guarantee not all those people are smarter than you. You have things to bring to the table that some of those people have never even heard of. And you're going to take this and you're going to rock it, okay? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close this a little bit earlier because I need to go through all the list of emails that I have of registration and get ready to send you the questions and the answer sheet. And that's all I'm supposed to send you today. Next Thursday morning, I will send out the emails that say, here's the link to join tonight. If you have any concern about your registration, reach out to me. Otherwise, you should receive the registration stuff tonight. I mean, the email tonight that has the questions and answers. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, question, please. I'm just wondering, throughout the 6 months of our chat, will we have case studies or scenario-based activities that will allow us to practice what we've been doing?
That's a very good question. Let me open Watermark real quick and I'm going to show you something.
Okay.
So before I opened up the underlying competencies and we went through that, let me open up elicitation and collaboration. This is one of the 6 knowledge areas. We're going to look at this. Here's the scenario. Benita is a business analyst for her organization. Sam is a data analyst who asked to sit with Benita for a minute in the cafeteria to give her information he believes relevant to her project. Sam continues by seemingly describing seemingly a complex data flow. Which of the following is the next logical step for Benita to take? So you've got a scenario there. As we study the tasks themselves, we're going to say, in my experience, what scenario have I actually done this in? Or how can I see this work? And we're going to talk about it amongst ourselves. We're going to say, I'm decommissioning a mainframe. How have I used this task in decommissioning a mainframe, and how did I do it? So y'all can hear my story and you'll remember things that way. But you're going to get scenarios just like this. Does that answer your question, Roberta?
This is helpful. Thank you for that.
Okay. So I will tell you, Watermark does a pretty good job. Again, they're not perfect, but they do a pretty good job. See, I remember I told you earlier, we're hearing things that it's like Sam is a data analyst. Who cares if he asked to sit with her for a minute in the cafeteria? That part doesn't matter to us, but it's part of the scenario and you need to know it. What matters is he's giving her seemingly complex data flows, and her next logical step should be, and here's the 4 answers that it's proposing. So yeah, you're going to get scenarios.
What's the answer? I need to know.
I'm curious.
Okay, so let's talk through it. Refer
See.
Sam to the data
I would say
architecture
C, yes.
be included in the designs. Ask Sam to access the requirements documentation in the project share folder and add the data requirements. We would never tell somebody else to add requirements to our document. Ask Sam to send an email documenting and more thoroughly describing the information to ensure understanding, or schedule a workshop with relevant stakeholders to construct the data flow diagram. We think it's C.
I
Yep.
think it's C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was
It is a
D.
good second choice. According to the BABOK,
Oh, wow.
you should bring
Okay.
in, you should have a workshop and get the right people in the room. This is not what I would do. And I've said this every single time this question's come up. What I would do is get the information from him and take it and then go try to talk to somebody. But that means that I'm translating whatever he gave me, however, piecemeal that might be, and through my understanding to try to go talk to an architect about what he understands. Instead, they want us to get them all together. And that's what they say is the best thing to do. And according to that, it's Babok 4.0. It's the whole chapter.
Yeah, I was literally just because I too said C because C seemed logical, but then I thought I'm like, I wouldn't do D at all. I would make sure I understand it first. But then I had another thought. I'm like, wait a minute, what does Babok say? And I wouldn't disturb the stakeholder, but then Babok is saying to go to the stakeholders. The questions like these throw me off. So this is good that we're able to practice this.
Roberta's throwing Roberto off now.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like we know what we would do, but
Right.
then because why would I now go disturb the stakeholders now with all of this? I want to make sure it's understood first, right? But then
Right.
sometimes when people send you email, their explanations are even more complex in the email. So I didn't even see would have been a right choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the Babok only has one answer for it. So it's easy to, if you know the Babok, it's like they would say schedule the workshop. It could be let's meet for 30 minutes just to see if this has any legs. You don't have to make it an all day thing, but get the right people so that he can be explaining it to them. They can ask him questions directly. Because I can see, I've done it before. I walk up to the architect or somebody and I'll say, Sam has a concern and he gave me this and I don't really know what it means. And and the architect's asking me questions. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it means. So then I've wasted the architect's time.
Yeah.
He said, get everybody together. I kind of understand now that I've embarrassed myself enough times by trying to, be the smart one. I got to let the smart people be smart together.
Yeah. And I also want to say sometimes when I don't know over a time, almost a time when I get questions like these, when I see scenarios like these, I'm like, what does he mean he believes might be beneficial to my project? What if I as the BA determine that I don't think that's beneficial to the work that I'm doing, but what do you mean you believe? So now I'm supposed to go and get all the stakeholders together on a belief?
That's why I was looking at C too, because he's not even a part of this project. So why would I bother the stakeholders?
Right.
But sometimes people outside of the projects, they were left out and it was in error. You don't know. So what I would do if it were me and if I were boss of the world right here, I would go to the architect ahead of time and say, I would like to set up a 30-minute meeting and I need you to help me evaluate, does this have any impact on our project? And let them have that authority because they understand things that you don't understand. But then bring it all together, facilitate it, be the note taker, and then learn while you're listening to them because sometimes they say things it's like, I have no clue what you're talking about. And then it's other times it's like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I see how they're connected or, whatever. Also, in those cases, it's really good to take notes where they can see the notes. That way, if you get something wrong, they said something and you misheard it, they can correct you as you're taking notes. That way, your notes end up being validated by them before you have to send them out to somebody else. Okay? Okay, so yes, you're going to get scenarios. We're going to turn all of these concepts into things that can be applied to scenarios, and Watermark Test Bank is the way I do it.
Okay, sounds good. China's asked in the chat, what score should you aim for on the first mock?
On the first mock, I would not even worry about a score. You survive it. The one that you want to get, you want to aim for at least 73%. 73% on any knowledge area is kind of standard. And I think that it's important that you pass every knowledge area on the test because I've seen people that they get comparable or higher on some and they get lower on, say, 2, and they're told that they failed. And it's like, well, if it was an overall score, that should even out, right? No, just plan on making 72% on every one. Chapter 7 has 30% of your test questions on your CBAP. So we're going to spend a little bit extra time there. But if you decide that you want to get this subscription on your own, for 30 days, it's $99. It's unlimited. You can do it as much as you want in any combination. Let's go back to the select exam. You can focus on just one knowledge area. If you have multiple knowledge areas and you have test questions from each one, whenever it gives you the results at the end, it will say you had 4 test questions out of this knowledge area. This is your score. You had 6 questions out of this knowledge area. This is your score. So it will tell you by knowledge area once you get to that point. But initially, we're going to do one knowledge area at a time. We're going to go in order, even though you don't always do them in order. We're going to do them in order because this one is easiest. This one is next easiest. Then it starts getting harder. These 3 are traditionally the hardest. So we're going to just be very systematic and go through them and build on what you've already learned. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. I will commit to getting the test questions for chapters 1 and 2 and the answer sheet out to y'all by noon tomorrow. That gives me time to go eat supper and say hello to my husband for the first time today. And then I'll check all your registrations and send everything out before noon. Okay? Noon Eastern time.
Thanks,
Okay?
Tina.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you
Have a
all.
good night.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.